There are names that belong to history, and then there are names that haunt it. Rasputin is one of those names when whispered through corridors of myth, scandal, and blood. The mad monk, the healer, the seducer, the prophet, the monster, the man who wouldn't die. But what if the real secret wasn't his mysticism or his madness, but something far more disturbing? What if Grigori Rasputin uncovered a way to cheat death, not through alchemy or religion, but through something most terrifying of all: raw, unbreakable will? This is not a fairy tale. This is the unspoken doctrine behind the myth. A protocol whispered beneath the surface of history, buried under ridicule and legend, but never erased. This is the Resurrection Protocol, and it begins not in a palace, but in a frozen field, soaked in poison and gunpowder. Because Rasputin did not die like a man. He died like a curse, slow, violent, and unfinished. They poisoned him. He smiled. They shot him. He stood back up. They shot him again. He lunged. They beat him, tied him, drowned him. And still, his lungs held air. How? History says superstition. But those who know, those who study not facts but forces, see something else. Something colder, more deliberate. Rasputin didn't survive by chance. He survived by program. Let's peel it back. Rasputin was not educated by any conventional standard. He was illiterate into adulthood. He wasn't trained by any church. He came from the wilderness, a Siberian peasant with mud under his nails and visions in his skull. But what he understood instinctively was power. Not the power of politics, the power of perception. He could make people see what he willed them to see, feel what he willed them to feel. He didn't heal with potions. He healed with presence, with intensity, with belief. And belief, when weaponized, becomes a force more potent than medicine. He cultivated an aura of inevitability. He was not a man. He was a force masquerading as flesh. And the moment people believed that, the game changed. Because here's the secret. The body obeys the mind far more than we admit. And Rasputin, he trained his mind like a weapon. The first phase of the Resurrection Protocol is identity dissolution. Rasputin erased the boundary between who he was and who others believed he was. He became mythic, not through stories told about him, but stories he told through himself. By abandoning shame, guilt, fear, he became impossible to predict, impossible to shame, impossible to manipulate. He created a psychic vacuum, and everyone around him got pulled in. This is the first key to cheating death. Remove the part of you that fears it. Not in theory, in practice. The second phase is sensory reprogramming. Rasputin subjected himself to extremes: starvation, sleep deprivation, pain rituals, ecstatic dancing, erotic frenzy, isolation. Not for pleasure, for control. He learned to detach sensation from interpretation. Pain didn't mean stop. Fear didn't mean flee. Exhaustion didn't mean rest. He rewrote the language of his nerves, so the body no longer overruled the will. And once that balance shifts, survival becomes a decision, not a condition. The third phase is charismatic possession. Rasputin did not ask for loyalty, he extracted it. He didn't convince, he invaded. His eyes were described as hypnotic, penetrating, inhuman. That wasn't supernatural, it was trained. He practiced stillness, silence, timing. He entered rooms like omens. He understood what most people never learn: to lead, don't explain, radiate. This is how he seduced the Tsarina. Not with words, but with gravity. And when others believe you are immortal, the body begins to obey that belief. The fourth phase is the most dangerous. narrative mastery. Rasputin didn't care what people thought of him, as long as they thought. He fed rumors, amplified contradictions. One man saw a prophet, another saw a pervert. Both were under his spell. Why? Because confusion is more powerful than clarity. When people cannot define you, they cannot kill you. Because you no longer live in flesh, you live in their heads. This is the final trick. The death of the body is irrelevant when your myth continues breathing. And Rasputin ensured his myth would outlive bullets. So when the assassins finally came, and they came with fury, Rasputin didn't just refuse to die, he became immortal. Not in body, in influence. Because what we call madness was protocol. What we call superstition was strategy. And what we dismiss as myth was method. Ask yourself, how much of your fear is biology and how much is belief? How many times have you given up? Not because your body failed, but because your story did. Rasputin cheated death by refusing to enter it, by turning every attempt to kill him into a confirmation of his power. Poison? Proof of divine immunity. Bullets? Proof of resilience. Murder? Proof of martyrdom. You cannot kill a man who has already made his death part of the script. And that's the ultimate phase of the resurrection protocol. To turn your death into your final act of control. So why does this matter now? Because in a world built on safety, sedation, and comfort, Rasputin's method is a virus. It teaches that survival is not given, it is seized. That identity is not inherited, it is forged. That fear is not natural, it is taught. And that death, real death, begins the moment you surrender authorship of your own will. You may never walk barefoot across snow into royal palaces. You may never stare down bullets with a grin. You may never be called prophet or beast. But you can choose, right now, to reclaim the will that modern life has trained you to bury. The will to endure. The will to dominate your flesh. The will to burn so brightly that even your enemies keep your name alive in fear. That's Rasputin's legacy. Not a miracle, a method. And if you understand it, you don't need to cheat death, because death won't know where to find you. If this message shook something awake in you, let it. Share it, speak it, spread it. And remember, the greatest resurrection is remembering who you were before the world taught you to be tame. More protocols are coming, darker, deeper. Subscribe and prepare to rise.